Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Like I said, thank you so much for checking me out. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button just right below the video. Cool, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks again for your support. I truly do appreciate having you here. Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time.
120 million XRP moved by an anonymous whale to a private wallet. So we've got an anonymous whale moving tons of XRP to a private wallet. We'll see what that is all about. Now, because of I've told you my antenna is up on all this. All of a sudden all these governments are predicting cyber attacks, but it's not over this Russia stuff. They started predicting cyber attacks months ago, and when it normally takes them months or years to even find out they were hacked. But now they have a crystal ball and they can predict them. So now the U.S. they're not ruling out the possibility of Russia lashing out with a cyber attack on America. So this tells me that all of these people are planning cyber attacks. Now, I don't know how that affects you and me, but I'm not taking any chances since I buy crypto. I've got not one, but I've got several Ledger Nano S's. There's a link in the description, or it'll be at the top of this video. Link in the description for you to get that. If you're in crypto, you also need to have a virtual private network. This is Pure VPN. There's a link towards the top of the description of this video for that. This way you can surf anonymously. And finally, there will be a link to this. This is called a YubiKey. This is a key so that you can set up your websites you go to where if you store crypto, especially like Coinbase. Once you have this key, you can go in and set it up with your Coinbase account, and then from then on you'll type in your username, your password, and nobody will be able to get into your Coinbase account unless they have your physical YubiKey that looks like this right here. It's like a little thumb drive. If they don't have that, they aren't getting into your account. That also will be towards the top in the description. Now, Charles Hoskinson has weighed in on the SEC suit. He's got two quotes here. He says, he's talking about Bill Hinman's personal opinion. If it's a personal opinion, you issue a statement after the fact, but you can't just let it ride. Let opinions be written out and have the industry push forward. Then change your mind because it's convenient for a particular enforcement case you're doing. And then he goes on. It's just hurtful to everybody, and it's not a partisan thing. It's just a clarity thing. When you're in an industry, you would want to know what the rules are. But if the rules are ever changing and indiscernible, or are staged in a way that is impossible to comply, so you regulate it out of existence. Now he's over the target. You see how this game's been being played, folks? Now I wanted to remind everybody that, let's do a refresh here. There's been over 100,000 views of the John Deaton interview that I did yesterday, where John says that he exposes the SEC and says this thing is over. There's now 117,000 views on that video, and that's because John Deaton was spitting fire and it was all truth. Now, he also tweeted this today. If Russia decides to use Bitcoin and or other crypto as a way to avoid sanctions, I'm afraid our leaders will have a typical knee-jerk reaction. Now, folks, this immediately reminded me of the Biden, quote, national security executive order they were about to issue. Let me tell you, folks, I've been around long enough, especially since I got into crypto. If I've learned anything, you can't trust any of these governments. I don't trust I don't care if it's the United States, Russia, China, anybody else. I don't trust these governments as far as I can throw them. And if they're saying one thing, half the time they're lying, half the time they're throwing misdirection in your way. I don't buy anything I'm seeing, okay? And that includes this Russia thing. This thing reeks to me of some... Remember, folks, and you don't discount this at all. Folks. If you discount what I'm about to say, you still don't get what's happening to the monetary system. When you hear Christine Lagarde talk about a Bretton Woods 2.0 or any of these people, this is not some small insignificant thing. This is you want to talk about national security? When you're changing over the entire monetary system of the world, this happens every 100 plus years, okay? This is not some small thing. And the idea to think that there are all sorts of staged events leading up to such a huge thing is nothing. That's nothing. To think that there would be psyops and all sorts of things going on leading up to such a significant thing in order to herd all of we peasants into that digital system. Make no mistake, there's nothing that these people are not capable of in the run-up to make that happen, okay? Now, as I've said 1,000 times, this new system can be used for good or for evil. I've got my fingers crossed, and I've got my bets placed, XRP, XLM, and gold. Right as of right now, I'm not interested in anything else because I believe that that's what we're talking about. There's a reason that Putin and China have been buying physical gold for all these years, the last 10, 15 years, over and over and over. Now, while all these governments send you into Bitcoin, by the way, proof of work Bitcoin that doesn't work, by the way, okay? Now, Bitcoin Magazine. So follow me here. I'm going to take you down memory lane. Just in, UK Prime Minister is pushing very hard for Russia to be ejected from SWIFT payment system. In all of those years, neither one of us have ever heard of anybody, no one, no company, no person, nobody, claiming that they are going to replace the SWIFT system. Now, the SWIFT system, that goes all the way back to the 70s, okay? Nobody has ever said they're going to replace the SWIFT system. Nobody would even think of making a claim like that. But this one little company called Ripple just pops up on my radar in 2013 and begins making this bold claim that they're going to replace SWIFT, and then goes on a parade to tell the world. Brad Garlinghouse tells the world we're in effect replacing SWIFT for years. Is going around, not just going around and getting on TV. You know, anybody does that, goes on TV and says something like that, they'd be laughed off stage, okay? But this guy hasn't just been saying it. He's been saying it while on stage with people from the IMF. He's been saying it in Switzerland at bank conferences where some of the most important central bankers in the world are all sitting in the room. But you don't have to take my word for it. But this guy's been doing it for years. But not just that, they've had people, multiple people from high up in government and from the U.S. Treasury, all these people on their board and taking jobs at Ripple throughout this whole thing. People connected all the way to the heights of government. For years I've been talking about this. It's only one company, only one group of people that I've ever even heard even attempt to say anything bordering on I'm going to take over Swift. We've even seen Brad Garlinghouse on the stage with the CEO of Swift at the time, still talking about it, while that CEO is talking about stepping down from Swift. Talking about it. Okay? The guy didn't laugh him off the stage. The guy didn't say, you a-hole, you're a freaking moron. Get off this stage. I am Swift. Who do you think you are? He didn't say that. They had a dialogue, the whole conversation. All happened. So then, with all this Russia stuff going on right now, and folks, maybe there's nothing to this right now, but there is something to all of this in the larger scheme of things. But look at this. I saw this tweet today, and I was like, This is esoteric XRP. It says, isn't that the plan? Close the DS. I think he means deep state. I don't know. Close the DS source of money, Ukraine. Get Russia off SWIFT onto the SIPs. Russia, China activate gold-backed digital currencies. Rest of the world dumps USD. Gold destroys the Fed. Then usher in the new USN based on XRP, Interledger, XLM Gold, HODL. And he's retweeting this. Ukraine's foreign minister on Thursday urged countries to ban Russia from the SWIFT global interbank payment system, one of the toughest non-military sanctions the West could impose. Alright, so the rest of this is mostly for those of you, there are many of you who were not here for the last 2 or 3 years. There's a reason that the XRP community is the largest and most sophisticated in all of crypto. There's a reason that there are so many of us that have been fixated on this one company, Ripple, and this one digital asset, XRP, for all these years. It's because of things that have been said that once you hear them, you're like, what? What did he just say? It was time after time we're hearing this type of stuff, not one time. Like this. If I can hit the refresh button and give it to you.
I think what we're doing and executing on a day-by-day basis is in fact taking over SWIFT. In that, we've now signed up well over 100 banks. Some of the largest SWIFT-enabled banks in the world are now using Ripple's technology. Just last week we saw a remittance company who's using Ripple's technology. They reduced the price per transaction to their consumers from $20 per transaction to $2 per transaction, and they saw an 800% increase in usage overnight. That's the type of dynamic that SWIFT isn't able to support that we're able to address right now, and that's something we saw just in the last couple of weeks. So we certainly want to see banks succeed in this new world order and take advantage of these technologies. To somebody who works with SWIFT to do that, then that's great.
We want to see banks succeed in this new world order, and that's the other thing. Who says that? I can promise you that when I'm in my kitchen, like tonight, I'm going to cook. I've been trying to eat lower fat, so I'm making myself some salmon. I got some teriyaki, like Asian sauce, okay? I've already got it planned. It tastes so good. I've got this Asian teriyaki type sauce. I'm going to put it over I'm going to cook the salmon, and in the last 5 minutes, I'm going to pour this sauce over it. Well, I can promise you that while my wife and I are in that kitchen, we will not be using terms like New World Order and things like this, because those aren't things that come out of normal mortals' mouths. Those are things that come out of people's mouths who are talking to people on a much different level than what my wife and I are talking, okay? So over the years, when I've heard these types of things, and oh yeah, we're replacing Swift, oh you are? That's the kind of thing I've been thinking, okay? Now, it wasn't just that. These three guys, one of them is Bitcoin Ben, but this is one of the more fascinating videos to me that I've shown over the last few years, and the reason is this. These two guys run a crypto IRA company. I forget the name of it, but they were on Bitcoin Ben's show, and it would seem like a pretty insignificant thing until they said what they said, because of the nature of their business, they had to go to like continuing education things and stay abreast, go to conferences and stay abreast of regulations. And this is what they said when they were in this one conference. They said they had one of the major regulators up on stage, and this is what she said.
Numerous people, and this is bankers and regulators who are involved in financial crime, compliance, onboarding, anti-money laundering. This is industry. These are people who talk to the CFOs and CEOs of banks and put the fear of God in them in regards to money laundering and compliance and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of validity here. I heard at least two people mention that the SWIFT system will be replaced in the next couple of years, in the next 3 years, the next 5 years. These are people who aren't even in our space. They're in banking and money laundering and compliance and blah, blah, blah.
These are the presenters, too, he's mentioning.
These are speakers. Yeah, this isn't the fat lady from HR. Yeah, these are like speakers, investigators, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it was Ripple, one of them mentioned, right? Well, yeah, Ripple.
Verbatim, Swift is going to be replaced. Yeah.
Swift will be replaced by Ripple in the next 5 years, blah, blah. And this is like...
Okay. So, I mean, these are guys that are on a Bitcoin show, okay? It was never Bitcoin. Bitcoin was a prototype and a distraction, folks. Bitcoin, I believe, was just an on-ramp testing ground. Now, does many of you, if you haven't been around the last few years, you probably didn't see this. But this happened, folks, and I remember how surreal it was. This is from Anders L. Brad states that Ripple is taking over Swift, largely U.S. controlled. Brad appears with the world's most powerful people in public finance sector. The speakers before Brad talk about how bad it is that the USD is the world reserve. Brad shows them this, okay? This is the governor. I'm showing you this because Russia's invading Ukraine, okay? And we've seen what some of the comments that have been said. This is Elvira Nebelini, governor of the Bank of Russia. She was there, okay? This is the stage. This is her. Let me show you where she is on the stage with everybody. There's a stage of people here. Let me see if I can get the zoom out. Right here. So there, right. Let me go back. If I can get the thing lined up right. They were right there. Alright, so here she is, okay? And I'm doing this for those of you that were not here when this went down. And then let's keep going down this way and see who we see next. If I can get this. Oh. How about there? Who's that? That would be Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple, and that's Christine Lagarde from the IMF. This is where the Russian central bank lady is. All these guys are central bankers. The whole room's full of them. And I ask you, why would Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple with a startup, be sitting there in that room? Who gets you in that room? Do you know anybody? Can you name anybody in your life who has been in a room with every major central banker in the world? I don't know anybody. Well, here's some of the people that someone had plotted them all out. And it happened, by the way, on May 14th, 2019. And these people actually show you who's in the crowd. Christine Lagarde from the IMF, Augustin Carsten from the BIS, Thomas Jordan, chairman of the governing board, Swiss National Bank, Governor Bank of Israel, JP Morgan Chase International chairman, vice chairman, governing board, Swiss National Bank, International Monetary Fund. They had some academics too. This guy and this guy. Here's another professor from Zurich. Governor of the Austrian Central Bank. Governor of the Central Bank of Thailand. Central Bank of Peru. South African Reserve Bank. Let's keep going. That's a professor. Hong Kong Monetary Authority, Central Bank of Greece, Governor of Bank of Russia. This is the woman we just showed you. Governor Central Bank of Norway, Chief Executive Hong Kong Monetary Authority. Folks, there's Christine Lagarde right there, sitting right in front of Brad Garlinghouse. Central Bank, since Russia's invading Ukraine, why not look at this? This is the lady that was sitting right there on stage where Brad Garlinghouse was. It says right here, it says she's a Russian economist and head of the Central Bank of Russia. She was Russian President Vladimir Putin's economic advisor between May 2012 and June 2013. After serving Minister of Economic Development and Trade from these dates, now she's listed as the 53rd most powerful woman in the world by Forbes. And Brad Garlinghouse is on stage there. Leonidas had tweeted this out at the time. Brad at the Swiss National Bank Conference on Past, Present, and Future of the International Monetary System. And then you look here, you'll see this is the lady that runs the Russian Central Bank. And Brad Garlinghouse is right there. Christine Lagarde's here, and you can just go through. I mean, shoot, the people are everywhere. Later on, earlier, Charles Gasparino had tweeted, "Question I have, and so do a lot of Wall Street execs. Why did we take off the table?" barring Russia, its banks, and oligarchs from SWIFT. It would be draconian and disruptive, but the impact would have been swift. So to speak, as opposed to long game sanctions that obviously didn't deter. And then Stefan Huber retweets what he says, and he says, that would be the biggest catalyst for crypto ever. At least for efficient, fast blockchains. I think Stefan Huber knows what the deal is. Walter Bloomberg, Biden, Swift analysis, Swift always an option. Right now, no plan to use. Folks, if you believe, here's what I'll say. I'm not saying that everything going on right now is in. I'm not saying that it's in stone, that this is all about Swift and all. But what I am telling you is that many of the geopolitical events that you've been watching for the last 2 to 5 years have everything to do with this switch over to digital currency. And I woke up, and a lot of people think that's crazy. Oh, 2 to 3 videos a day, that's just too much. 2 to 3 videos a day, and you're talking about Ripple and XRP, that's just crazy. That is not crazy at all, if you believe like I do. I mean, I don't know anybody who has been watching and studying what I have. Just imagine what happens if you're focusing on one thing, one topic, and you do it 2 and 3 times a day to make videos, and you do it for 3 to 4 years. Okay, imagine what happens when you do that. It's kind of like it's almost like you can see around corners. When you've seen enough, and once you finally see it, you can't unsee it. And what we are watching, and what we have been watching for the last however many years, you're watching the formation of a new financial system. What I like to compare it to, I've told the story 1,000 times on here, when they formed the Federal Reserve, and make no mistake, the Federal Reserve was nothing more than a monopoly on money production for the 5 wealthiest families at the time. What you're witnessing right now is the reset of that monetary system. And this time it includes digital assets. And it's not Bitcoin. Christine Lagarde said it herself. It's not Bitcoin. Bitcoin can't do what a financial system needs it to do in order to handle everything. There's only 2 that can handle it right now. And it's going to be a collection. It's going to be several. I've named most of them on this show. But there's only 2 that are at the very center of it and have been from the beginning, and that is XRP and XLM. Write it down. I will be right. The history books will prove me right. They will prove many of you out there right that have been following this for a long time. Those are the 2 at the core.
I'm your guy. I will keep you posted. I'm your advocate. I'll be back on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, with these videos to keep you updated with everything going on. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share any of my videos with your friends, family, social media, or anybody who may care to listen. Thanks so much for your continued support. I'm always here for you. I want to help you through this time. So thank you so much for continuing to choose me. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll catch you again probably in a couple hours. Thanks, everybody. See you later.